In this episode, we pursue the main quest line and discover the Nerevarine prophecy. We also discover some elements of Morrowind that have not aged well. If you haven't seen Part 1 yet, there's still time to go back and watch it. Hey, I'm Gray Snake for NewElderScrolls.com, and this is Part 2 of our Morrowind Retrospective. Now that I have some new gear and some experience with the game mechanics, I am prepared for the main mission. I return to Caius Casada's house, and he tells you to go see Hazfat Anibulus. I'm not kidding, that's really his name.
Watch your step.
You have to ask him what he knows about the Nerevarine secret cult, but first he makes you do a favor for him. He wants you to go to the nearby Dwemer ruins and find him the Dwemer puzzle box. Morrowind is one of the greatest games in history, but it's not without its faults. If we're going to be objective about it, there are some elements of gameplay that have not aged well. So you have to walk all the way to the ruins, and at this point I'd like to point out that you lose fatigue when you run, which is fine until something comes along to beat your ass. I can see what they were going for, but because you have to walk everywhere, it's annoying and frustrating. Other than the major towns, there's no real fast travel mechanics to assist with travel. So you finally arrive at the Dwemer ruins, and you find that it is barricaded by this circular door thing. Fortunately, you find a crank near the entrance that opens the door for you. Once inside, you lumber all around and occasionally being attacked by these noobs. In the face! While I wouldn't call the combat broken, I will say that it's flawed in its own way. When you swing the weapon at close range, you'd expect to hit your enemy, but it doesn't always happen. This is something I should have commented on earlier, but here is where it really becomes evident to me. It isn't such a problem that it takes away from the greatness of the game, and yet you can't help but notice it. Here's a good example. This is one of the weakest enemies in the game, but look at this. I'm swinging away and maybe 1 in 5 swings actually hits? That's ridiculous. Magic can also be somewhat frustrating due to the fact that you would fail at casting a spell. But again, these complaints are minor speed bumps in what is actually a really complete game. You give him the box, and he tells you that the Ashlanders believe a reborn Nerevar will unite the Dunmer against the Outlander invaders, and restore the ancient Dark Elven nation. Apparently, Nerevar is a legendary hero and saint of the Temple, but the Temple denies the prophecy, and persecutes heretics who believe in the Nerevarine. He then tells you that Sharn Gramuzgab would be a better person to ask about the whole thing, and gives you some notes for Caius, and then you head out. So you're on your way to Caius Casada's house when this dude who calls himself a sleeper stops you in the street to tell you some crap about the 6th house has risen again, Dagoth is its glory. He then tells you that you cannot deny your lord Dagoth
Speak, traveler.
Damn religious nuts. Then you get to Caius, who fills you in a bit more on the prophecy of the Nerevarine, and this is the gist of it. Some people in Morrowind believe that somebody will unite the tribes of the Dunmer, drive out the invaders of Morrowind, and reestablish the ancient laws and customs of the Dark Elven nations. This somebody is called the Nerevarine, and is the reincarnation of the long-dead Dunmer general and first counselor, Induril Nerevar. Another thing that's mentioned is the 6th House secret cult, which is associated with some strange events recently. Known as House Dagoth, this cult apparently betrayed the other houses in the First Age during the War of the First Council, and was consequently destroyed for their treason. Caius then sends you to the Mages Guild to find Sharn Gramuzgab to collect information about the Nerevarine cult, but like Hazfat, she sends you on an errand. On your way to the Mages Guild, you get stopped by another religious nut who blathers on about how Lord Dagoth sleeps, but when he wakes, we all shall rise, blah blah blah. I really wish you could just smack these asshats. Anyways, you get to Sharn, and she wants you to obtain the skull of Louisville Andrano from the Andrano ancestral tomb, which she says is likely filled with natives, and by natives she means skeletons, bone walkers, and ghosts. Once you get back to her with the skull, she reconfirms the Nerevarine prophecy and mentions a few new things, like that Nerevarine is supposed to cast down the false gods of the Tribunal Temple. After returning to Caius, he promotes you to Apprentice of the Blades, which is awesome, but then he says that you are still a giant noob-tard, which is not awesome. So I'm going to head back to the Fighters Guild and continue there until I prove to him that I'm not a giant noob-tard. So the next mission isn't too hard. All you have to do is go to the Southwall Corner Club and get a code book from somebody. But in order for her to trust you enough to even talk about the book, you gotta bribe her. I ended up spending about 300 gold on this. And when you get back to collect your reward, the amount is 50 gold, so completely not worth the investment. The next mission is to track down someone and collect some debt money. I'm told that this person owns a club in Saran, and this is apparently it. Alright, give me the money. Yeah, smack it up, let it out. So apparently this is a strip club. Awesome. So you have to bribe this chick to gain favor, and she gives you the money. Even though I spent 300 gold to get the 100 gold reward this mission has to offer, it was somehow more worthwhile. At this point, I'm just going to grind more Fighters Guild missions until I get to the level Caius wants me to be. So after grinding to level 3, I go back to Caius, who wants me to interview 3 informants in Vivec City concerning the Nerevarine and the 6th House. Vivec is one of the largest and most confusing cities to navigate, so this should be interesting. First, he wants you to speak to a Khajiit Thieves Guild operative. Second, Hulia, an Argonian in the Morag tongue. And finally, with Mera Milo, a temple priestess. He then gives you 200 gold for bribes, which I'm thankful for since the last few bribes came out of my own pocket. He also promotes you in the Blades and awards you with 2 spell scrolls. On to Vivec to uncover more of the mystery of the Nerevarine. Things are getting more interesting as we further explore the secrets of the 6th House, and I have a feeling that things are going to get a lot more complicated. Next time, we delve into the vast city of Vivec and track down the informants. What secrets will be revealed about the Nerevarine prophecy? Tune in for Part 3 and find out. I'm Gray Snake for NewElderScrolls.com, and this is our Morrowind Retrospective.